Hello, everybody. Welcome to a brand new podcast in which we discuss Denver sporting news. We break down the games and we talk about what's to come for the teams we love, all through the lens of a bettor. This is the Denver Dollar, and I'm your host, Daniel Shalansky. Without further ado, let's get to it. Now, I have two notes before we can talk about the Nuggets game today, in which they are at home facing off against the Cleveland Cavaliers. First of all, I am sorry for my recent absences on Nuggets game days. The reason being is that I've been exceedingly busy with schoolwork, and I had a test on Monday that prohibited me from covering the Bucks versus Nuggets game. Unfortunately for all you bettors, I did take a few bets. I took a few game parlays, and I did win over $80 on the day. So I apologize for not sharing my insights on that day. But like I said, I was in fact quite busy with schoolwork. My other note before I talk about this game is that I'm trying something new. I will be, in order to make it seem more like a podcast. Yes, I can do the videos in the future, but my camera isn't working for whatever reason, or maybe it's just the app that I had previously been recording my face on, but I am able to record an MP3, so this file will be uploaded to YouTube with the thumbnail, but I will not have a video recording on the day today. All right, now without further ado, let's talk about the game. Both teams are struggling as of late. The Nuggets are 1-4 in their last 5 games, and so are the Cleveland Cavaliers. They are also 1-4 in their last 5 games. Both teams have injuries, but I think the Nuggets injuries are a little bit more significant. Again, they will be without starter Gary Harris Jr. He has a thigh injury. They're also missing important rotation piece, PJ Dozier. Now, his merit is kind of controversial around Nuggets fans. He definitely hustles and he definitely tries very hard on the court, but he is often in the wrong place at the wrong time on defense. And for whatever reason, Coach Malone insists on putting him in at power forward, which makes no sense from a 6'6" shooting guard. He gets absolutely bodied in the paint, so we don't understand why. That said, his absence is sure to be missed, considering the fact that Gary Harris is out, and Facundo Campazzo will probably be absent in this game as well. He's listed as day-to-day. Also day-to-day is Vlatko Cancar, but there are worse injuries that the Nuggets could sustain. In fact, the Nuggets are pretty bad with Vlatko on the court. He only comes in during garbage time, and when he comes in during garbage time, he does bad things on the court. He messes up, so that one's not much to be worried about. But that is 3 guards on the Nuggets that are probably going to be absent during this game. Expect a lot of Will Barton. Expect the lineup to look like Jamal Murray starting at point guard, Will Barton at shooting guard, even though he's a true small forward, and Michael Porter Jr. starting at small forward. We're looking to be big in this game. On the Pistons side of the ball, they have a few injuries, none of them quite as significant as on the Nuggets side of the ball. They are missing 2 power forwards in Kevin Love and in Larry Nance Jr. Larry Nance is having a very good season. Of course, Kevin Love is old. He hasn't been playing as well this season as we have seen in his past, much less, he looks like a shell of his former self when he was, a consistent MVP candidate while he was on the Minnesota Timberwolves. Now, both those guys will be absent in this game, and Matthew Dellavedova will be out as well. I think that those are pretty significant. Both teams are pretty injury-ridden, but none of those injuries are as significant as the ones on the Nuggets side of the ball. Now, let's talk about those are the important things going into the game, the important things to note. Both teams are trending down. The Cavs don't have a great record on the season. The Nuggets are barely holding on to that 7th playoff spot at 12-11. They look to be shaping up against the Los Angeles Lakers. If the season were to end today, that would be the first round matchup. The Nuggets want to do better. They need to do better. And Nikola Jokic is an illegitimate MVP candidate unless the Nuggets do better. I think it's BS. I think that, whoever most valuable player means most valuable player. The Nuggets are the worst team in NBA history without Jokic on the court in terms of plus minus. How is that not the most valuable player? Just because the team is struggling, that doesn't reflect how the player is doing himself. That said, Nikola Jokic needs to do better. He doesn't need to do better. His teammates need to do better in order for him to be a legitimate candidate. So both teams are struggling mightily. In fact, Nikola Jokic, I'm just talking about how his teammates need to do better. He's been exceedingly frustrated with them. 4 or 5 games ago against the San Antonio Spurs, Nikola Jokic was so frustrated on the side of the court that he kicked a chair. We never see that type of frustration out of Nikola Jokic. In addition to that, when they were playing last game against this was actually against the Los Angeles Lakers, Michael Porter Jr. took a stupid three-pointer that was contested, and usually he can make those shots, but there were better looks. That's a good last resort when the shot clock is winding down, but it was early in the shot clock. Nikola Jokic was open. He was calling for the ball. Michael Porter Jr. took a contested three, and it bricked. Nikola Jokic looked defeated. His body language was terrible. He didn't get back on defense. He just hung his shoulders and stood there while every other player ran the court. Now, the next time down the court, Nikola Jokic got the ball. He took a contested three, almost a FU three to Michael Porter Jr., and he nailed it. Now, I am no lip reader, and this is unconfirmed, but a bunch of people on the internet who are self-proclaimed lip-reading experts, and it looks pretty apparent from when I saw it. They said that when Nikola Jokic hit that three-pointer, there was a clip that panned to his face. He looked right at Michael Porter Jr., and he said, "That's how you shoot a three." So he's obviously frustrated with his teammates. His teammates need to do better. We'll see if they're able to step it up in this game. Let's talk about the numbers. The Nuggets are favored despite the fact that both teams have been struggling significantly as of late. The Nuggets have been struggling mightily, as I've just said over the past 2 minutes. They are struggling. That said, they are the huge favorites in this game. They're locked in at minus 455 in the money line, and the Cleveland Cavaliers are locked in at plus 350 in the money line. I'm staying away from that bet. Let's talk about the spread. Like I said, the Nuggets are huge favorites. They're the 9.5 point favorites in this game. If you take them against the spread of 9.5 points, you're locked in at minus 110. It's true pick'em fashion, minus 110 for the Nuggets, minus 110 for the Cavs, both against the spread. The Cavs are locked in at plus 9.5, again with minus 110 odds. I like the Cavs against the spread. That is the first bet that I'm taking in this game because I do think the Nuggets are able to pull out this win. 9.5 points, to win by at least 10 points. That's a pretty decent margin in today's NBA. And yes, the Nuggets are looking to rebound off of their 1-4 record over the last 5 games, but so are the Pistons. I think 9.5 is a pretty lofty spread, and I'm willing to take the Cavs against the spread. Now let's talk about the over-under. The Nuggets the total over-under in this game is set at 219.5 points. The over is locked in at minus 108. The under is locked in at minus 113. I'm taking the over of 219.5 points at minus 108, and let me tell you why. The Nuggets are averaging 115.3 points per game. 115.3 points per game, and they are allowing 114 points per game. They are the number 3 ranked offense. Yeah, they are the number 3 ranked offense and the number 20 ranked defense in the league. So Nuggets games have been pretty high scoring as of late. Now, if we look at the Cleveland Cavaliers, they are averaging only 104 points per game. That puts them at number 29 in the league. So they struggle a ton on the offensive end. I'm sure that Denver's atrocious defense will be their remedy. I'm sure that they score more than 104 points in this game. Now, their defense is pretty good. They're the number 10 defense in the league, allowing 110.3 points per game. So if you look at the aggregate offensive scores, points per game, you're locked in at 119.3 points. So you're looking to barely hit the over. If you look at the points that they're allowing, you're locked in at 200. I meant 219, my bad. But for the defensive points allowed per game, you're looking at 220 or 200 and pretty much exactly 223 combined points allowed on defense. So if you look just at defense, you would want to take the over. Both of them suggest the over, but there's more to it. If you look at this mark of 219.5 in the Nuggets' last 5 games, they've hit this mark in 4 out of their last 5 games. Now, if you look at the Cleveland Cavaliers, their last 5 games, they've had a combined aggregate score with their opponents of over 219.5 points in 4 out of their last last 5 games as well. So both teams are either trending up on offense or trending down on defense, but if you combine the team's last 5 games, 8 out of 10 times for an 80% hit rate, these games, it's been the over of 219.5. I like it in this game as well. After we discussed, we just discussed the over-under, the money line, the spread. I'm going to tell you about how to maximize your profits based on our knowledge of those 3 bets. After that, I'm going to talk about individual player stats, and then I'm going to dive into my coveted tip-off analysis on the season. We're 14 of 19 predicting who will win the tip-off, and that is always very indicative of who will score first. There is serious money to be made there. Don't stop listening now. Wait till the end of the show. So, now I'm telling you how to maximize your money based on what we know. I'm taking a parlay. I'm taking the Nuggets money line. I don't like any of the spreads. I do think that the Pistons covered the spread, but they're not the Pistons. I apologize. The Cleveland Cavaliers covered the spread, but oh my God, I can't even look at that. So let's talk about the over and the Nuggets against the money line. You're locked in at plus 132. I think if the Nuggets win this game, it will easily be above the over of 219.5 points. The Cavs have a good defense, but perhaps that's because their pace is super slow. The Nuggets run one of the fastest paces in the NBA. They will not be able to slow them down. I like the over if the Nuggets are able to win. But on the other side, let's flip the game script. There's really good odds here. Another parlay I'm taking that I absolutely don't think will happen because I don't think that the Cleveland Cavaliers will win. But if they are able to win, I think that they will be able to stifle the Nuggets on offense. That means if the Cavs win, I'm taking them parlayed in the money line, parlayed with the under in this game at plus 700. Now, I don't expect that to hit, but based on my 2 parlays, considering the fact that they're both in the money, they're both in the plus, I will be winning money as long as one of them hits. And if, the Cavaliers one hits, then I will be up big money. I'm not taking any spread or parlays against the spread because I don't, I think the spread's very large. I would take the Cleveland Cavaliers, but I'm getting way worse odds than plus 700. I'm only looking at plus 255 if I take the bet that I previously took with the under. Now, let's talk about individual teams. The Nuggets are set at 114.5 points in this game, and I don't like that. The Cavs have a really good defense, and the Nuggets' points per game has only been steadily decreasing. So I do think that the Nuggets score under their season average. I don't know how much it will be by. I don't know if it's by a full point or more. So I'm not willing to take the Nuggets at 114.5. I am willing to take the Cavs, however. Again, the Cavs are averaging 104 points per game. Their over-under in this game is set at 104.5. I'm taking the over because the Nuggets have a bad defense. The over's locked in at minus 122, and I don't think that's bad enough value to capitalize on. The final bet that I'm taking of these, this variety is I'm taking the Nuggets in the 3-way money line. I don't think this game goes into overtime. Only 1 out of every 19.42 games have gone into overtime this season. And the tie is set at plus 1,600. That means there's no value in betting on a tie unless it were locked in at plus 1,942. But it's only plus 1,600. So that means Vegas, overvalues the tie. They consider it more likely to happen than it actually is. So, they don't overvalue it, they undervalue it, and everything's inversely related. That means Vegas considers the game to not end in a tie less likely to happen than it actually is. So the value is absolutely there. I'm taking the Nuggets in the 3-way money line at minus 375. It's pretty low risk, pretty low reward, but it is a super low reward. I'm still taking it. Now let's discuss individual player statistics. Now, Michael Porter Jr., his minutes are kind of inconsistent, and he as a player is super inconsistent. All of the things I discuss are on the BetRivers scoring card, and Michael Porter Jr. is absent from the BetRivers scoring card. There are only 4 Nuggets available, being Jamal Murray, Will Barton, Paul Millsap, and Nikola Jokic. Same goes for the Cleveland Cavaliers. They are also missing a player in Taurean Prince. He is a starter. He's projected to start this game at least, but he is absent from the BetRivers individual betting card. Without discussing that any further, let's talk about Jamal Murray. He's projected 2.5 3-pointers in this game. You're getting bad value with the under at minus 195, and the over is plus 155. Doesn't matter. I'm taking the under. He averages only 2 on the season, so he's well below this mark of 2.5, and that has been trending down significantly. Over the last 15 days, he's averaging 1.8. Over the last week, he's averaging 1.5, and last game, he only scored 1 3-pointer. While obviously he's looking to rebound, his shot from the distance is not there. I'm taking the under on Jamal Murray 3-pointers, despite the fact that the value is not great. I'm also taking the under on his points in this game. It's in true pick'em fashion, set at 19.5, minus 110 for the over, minus 110 for the under. I'm taking the under. He's averaging 18.6 on the season, and that's only been trending down. He's scoring 16.2 over the last 15 days and 15.5 over the last week. He only scored 11 in the last game. He's trending down significantly. I'm taking the under, considering the fact that it's the same value as the over. I'm also taking the under on his assists. This one is a little bit more difficult because he's all over the place. His assists are set at 4.5 assists in this game. He's averaging 4.4 on the season, 5 assists over the last 15 days, 4.5 assists over the last week, and 4 assists in the last game. So he's all over the place. I do think it's truly 50-50 whether or not he gets the over, whether or not he gets at least 5 assists in this game. But I like the value on the under at plus 127 versus minus 155 for the over. I'm taking the under. I'm betting on, pretty much every bet on every player in this game, considering the fact that there are only 4 from each team. And I think there is good value in a lot of them. Now let's talk about Jamal Murray's rebounds, another bet I'm taking. This is the only over I'm taking for Jamal Murray because the value is the same on the over and the under, and every number as of late leads me to believe that he will hit the over. He's projected 3.5 rebounds in this game. On the season, he's averaging 3.9, but over the last 15 days, he's averaging 4.2. He had a tough one last game. He only had 3. On the week, he's only averaging 3 rebounds. But again, on the season, he's averaging more than 3.5, and over the last 15 days, which is the most telling of all of these stats, in my opinion, he's averaging 4.2. So, considering the value is the same on the over and the under, I'm taking the over. Now, his player special, he's expected 28.5 combined points, assists, and rebounds in this game. Now, I like the under for Jamal Murray there. Why do I like the under? Because on the season, he's only averaging 26.9 combined points, assists, and rebounds. Over the last 15 days, he's trending down. He's averaging 25.4. Over the last week, he's averaging 23. And last game, he only had 18 combined points, assists, and rebounds. He is struggling immensely. So why would I bet the over at 28.5 when not only is he not hitting that on the season, he's getting lower than that every single game. He's trending down. He's trending down. He's trending down. I'm taking the under at minus 118. Let's talk about Will Barton. He's projected 1.5 3-pointers in this game at minus 122. I'm taking the over. He's averaging 1.6 on the season, and that has been trending up. He's going to play a lot. Now, I read a stat, and this, obviously doesn't bode well for the Nuggets winning this game, but when Will Barton plays more than 27 minutes in a game, the Nuggets are 4-9. When he plays less than 27 minutes in a game, the Nuggets are 8-2. But Coach Malone has been pretty foolish with his rotations. Why start a 30-year-old string bean in Will Barton, who has been playing foolishly? He makes a lot of boneheaded mistakes when he's on the court. Why start him over Michael Porter Jr.? And why start him? Why give him so much more time than these young, developing players? I don't know. Michael Porter Jr. Coach Malone's rotations have been a little bit questionable, to say the least, but he doesn't have a choice in this game. There's no Facu. There's no PJ Dozier. There's no Gary Harris, who starts at shooting guard. Will Barton is moved to starting shooting guard in this game. So I like him to hit the over on a lot of these different stats because he's sure as hell to be playing more than 27 minutes in this game. Again, for 3-pointers, he's listed at 1.5. He's only trending up. He's averaging 1.6 on the season, 2.2 over the last 15 days, 1.7 over the last week, and he had 3 in the last game. I'm taking the over at minus 122. His points are set at 13.5. I'm taking the over on the season. He's averaging 11.5. But since the other guys have been out, he's been trending up significantly. He's averaging 13.5, exactly the same number that he's projected in this game over the last 15 days. Over the last week, he's averaging 14.7. And in the last game, he scored 24 points. I'm taking the over at minus 110 for Will Barton points. His assists are set at 3.5. I'm taking the over at plus 110. He is securing 3.3 on the season, but just like all of his other numbers, they are trending up. He's averaging 3.7 over the last 15 days, 4.3 over the last week, and yes, he only had 3 on the last game. But again, 3.7 over the last 15 days and 4.3 over the last week. He is trending up significantly in the assist category. He's set at 3.5 in this game with way better value on the over at plus 110. I'm taking the over. The only under I will be taking for Will Barton in this game is rebounds, and let me tell you why. He's set at 3.5 rebounds in this game. On the season, he's averaging 3.7, but that's the only thing for Will Barton that has been trending down. Over the past 15 days, he's averaging 2.3. Over the past 7 days, he's averaging 2.3, and last game, he only secured 1. I'm willing to take the under. You're getting better value with the under of plus 110. I'm taking it. I'm taking the over on his player combined points, assists, and rebounds in true pick'em fashion, minus 110 for the over at 20.5. On the season, he averages 18.5, but he's trending up. Over the last 15 days, he averages 19.5. Over the last week, he averages 21.3. And in the last game, he scored 28 combined points, assists, and rebounds. With the absence of these other important guards, he will be doing a lot. So I'm taking the over. Now time for Paul Millsap. Big Sap Daddy. He is projected 9.5 points in this game with the true pick'em fashion. I'm taking the over at minus 110. On the season, he's averaging 9.9, but this is trending up. With all these smaller guards being absent, you would think we would, give RJ Hampton some more time, which we actually are, but you would think we'd give some of our other younger guards more time because, Coach Malone likes to run 4 guards on the lineup on the court at the same goddamn time. And in addition to that, it's only guards who are hurt for our team. So does he reach into his back pocket and pull out Marcus Howard and other guards that, potentially deserve a shot? No, he doesn't. He's playing old-ass Paul Millsap more minutes than he has all season. So I'm taking the over. Again, Paul Millsap on the season, he's averaging 9.9. That's trending up. Over the last 15 days, he's averaging 10.5. Over the last week, he's averaging 11.3. And in the last game, he scored 14 points. In true pick'em fashion, you're sure as hell better bet the over. Same value on the over and the under, and he's scoring more than that on the season, and it's only been going up. I'm taking the over on Paul Millsap points. I'm also taking the over on Paul Millsap rebounds at minus 139, locked in at 4.5 rebounds. Why? He's averaging 5.3 on the season, 5.8 over the last 15 days, 6.7 over the last week, and he only had 3 rebounds in the last game. But again, his rebounds are up significantly because he's touching the court a lot more. I'm taking the over easily, even though the value is minus 139. In true pick'em fashion, I'm taking the over on his points, assists, and rebounds at 15.5. On the season, he's averaging 16.7. Over the last 15 days, he's averaging 17.6. Over the last week, he's averaging 19. And in the last game, he had 22 combined points, assists, and rebounds. That is only trending up. It's true pick'em fashion for the over and the under. Why the hell would you bet the under? Finally, the GOAT, Nikola Jokic. This is my favorite player in the league. This is everyone's, this should be everyone's MVP, unless you're a stupid Lakers stan or you're one of the guys who's willing to die on the Joel Embiid hill. I'm sorry, guys. Joel Embiid is not nearly as likable as Nikola Jokic. Don't be scared of a European monster. Now, in this game, he's projected 1.5 threes, and I'm taking the over. On the season, he averages exactly 1.5 threes, but it's trending up. Over the last 15 days, he's averaging 2.7. Over the last week, he's averaging 2, and in the last game, he had 3. On his three-pointers, the over at 1.5 is locked in at plus 145. Not only do I think he gets the over, but that is value I cannot pass up on. Let's talk about his points, locked in at 25.5. On the season, he's averaging 27.5, only trending up, 33.3 over the last 15, or 33.5 over the last 15, and 32.7 over the last week. He scored 35 goddamn points in the last game. He's only trending up in the points category. I'm taking the over of 25.5, locked in at minus 118. I'm taking the under on assists for him, however. He's locked in at 7.5 assists in this game. The under being locked in at minus 122. I'm taking the under. Yes, on the season, he's averaging 8.5, but listen to this. Over the last 15 days, he's only averaging 6.2. In the last game, he only had 6. He's trending down in the assist category. I'm taking the under, even though the value is minus 122. His rebounds, however, I'm willing to take the over at plus 100 for 10.5, at least 10.5 rebounds in this game. On the season, he's averaging 11.5. Over the last 15 days, he's averaging 10.3. And yes, over the last week, he's averaging 9.7. But in the last game, he got 12. I think it's truly 50-50 whether or not he secures at least 11 rebounds in this game. And guess what? You're looking at plus 100 for the over. I'm taking it. I'm also taking the over in his combined points, assists, and rebounds at 43.5 in true pick'em fashion. Over the season, he's averaging 47.5. Over the past 15 days, he's averaging 50. Over the past 7 days, he's averaging 50.4. And in the last game, he secured 53 combined points, assists, and rebounds. I'm taking the over considering it's true pick'em fashion. Now on to the Cleveland Cavaliers side of the ball. I'm taking the over across the board for Andre Drummond except for three-pointers. Why? Because he has not made a single three-pointer this season, last season, or the season before. So he's not even on the card for three-pointers, but he's on the card for points, assists, rebounds, and combined points, assists, and rebounds, and I'm taking the over on all of them. He's averaging 17.5, he's projected 17.5 points in this game. On the season, he's averaging 18.5, and that's been pretty stagnant. Over the last 15 days, he's averaging 18. Over the last week, he's also averaging 18.5. So he's clearly looking at the over, and it's not true pick and fashion, but you're not getting that much worse value with the over at minus 118 versus minus 104 for the under. Let's talk about his assists. He is projected 2.5 assists in this game. He's locked in at 2.7 on the season, 2.6 over the last 15 days, and 2.5 over the last week. So I think he's trending down barely. I think it's truly 50-50 whether or not he hits the over or the under, but you're getting better value with the over at plus 100. I think it's a little bit better than 50-50 in terms of him hitting the over, so I'm willing to bet that Andre Drummond hits the over on three-pointers in this game. Let's talk about Andre Drummond rebounds. He's set at 12.5 in this game. That's a pretty lofty number, but guess what? The dude is averaging 14.2 on the season. He's the number one rebounder in the NBA at this point. He's averaging 13.1 over the last 15 days, and yeah, he's only averaging 9.8 over the last week, but I'm not scared of it. I'm taking the over of 12.5 in true pick'em fashion, so the value is the same as the over and the under. What else is in true pick'em fashion? The over-under for his combined points, assists, and rebounds. He's averaging 35.4 on the season. That's been trending down just a little bit, 33.7 over the last 15 days and 30.8 over the last week, only 31 in the last game. But at 32.5, I do think he hits the over, and I do, especially because the Nuggets have been shooting the ball poorly as of late. That'll give Andre Drummond so many defensive rebound opportunities. For whatever reason, the game runs through Andre Drummond. He has the higher usage rate than LeBron James at this point in the season. It makes no sense, but the game runs through Andre Drummond. I'm taking the over in his combined points, assists, and rebounds. Next up is the young shooting guard / point guard, whatever you want to call him, versus Colin Sexton, but the young guy, the second half of the nickname Sexland, Darius Garland out of Vanderbilt. He is a stud. I like him a lot, and he's been really stepping it up quietly this season. He's averaging 1.6 3-pointers on the season, 1.5 over the last week, 1 over the last 7, and he only had 1 in the last game. He's set at 1.5 in this game. I'm taking the over, despite the fact that he's trending down just a little bit. It's only over the past week that he's trending down. The last 15 days are the same exact numbers as he's posted throughout the season. I'm willing to take the over at minus 110 because the Nuggets play a very fast-paced game. He will have a lot of shooting opportunities, especially considering the fact that it looks like Will Barton is going to be guarding him, and Will Barton is not the best defender in the league, especially not on the Nuggets. So I'm taking the over on Colin Sexton, or on Darius Garland threes. I'm also taking the over on Darius Garland points at 15.5, locked in at minus 118. On the season, he's averaging 16.1. Guess what? I love trends. This is a trend that I love. He's averaging 18 points over the last 15 days, 17.5 over the last week, and 17 in the last game. I'm taking the over at 15.5 points for Darius Garland. I'm also taking the over on assists, and I think you're getting great value with this bet. On the season, he's averaging 5.5 assists, which is exactly what he's projected in this game, 5.5 assists. But the over is locked in at plus 120. Over the last 15 days, he's averaging 5.4. Over the last week, he's averaging 5.5. And in the last game, he had 7 assists. I love the value at plus 120 on the over. I'm not touching his rebounds because I think he hits under 2.5, but the value is minus 175, and it's fairly close. I'm not touching it. But I will take the over on his combined points, assists, and rebounds, locked in at 22.5. Why? He's averaging 24 on the season, and that number is only trending up. 26 in the last game, 24.8 over the last week, and 25.5 in the last 15 days. Locked in at 22.5. I'm taking the over at minus 121. Now, Colin Sexton locked in at 1.5 3-pointers. Same exact thought process goes for Colin Sexton as it does for Darius Garland. He's averaging 1.7 on the season, 1.1 over the last 15 days, yeesh, but 1.5 over the last week and 2 in the last game. He is pretty stagnant from the 3-point line in terms of his, arc throughout the season. I'm taking the over at minus 110. I'm also taking the over on his points. He's locked in at 21.5 points in this game, with the over being locked in at minus 134. And guess what? I am taking the over for him in this game. He's averaging 23.6 on the season, 21.8 over the last 15 days, 21.5 over the last week, and he had 23 in the last game. So he's trending down just a little bit, but he's going to step it up because the Nuggets are bad at defense and they play the ball very fast-paced game of basketball. I'm taking the over on assists for Colin Sexton as well, minus 155 to get at least 3.5 assists. On the season, Colin Sexton is averaging 4.1. Over the last 15 days, he's averaging 4. Over the last week, he's averaging 4.3. And in the last game, he got 5 assists. I'm taking the over because you're getting not great value at minus 155, but I can be super confident that he hits the over, considering all of his numbers throughout the season are above this mark of 3.5. I'm taking the under on his rebounds. On the season, he's averaging 2.5 rebounds. In this game, he's projected 2.5 rebounds, but that's trending down. He has 2.4 in the last 15 days, 2 over the last week, and 2 in the last game. And you're getting good value with the under at plus 100. I'm taking that. I'm not touching his player special, however, because 28.5 is pretty lofty, I think, for him. Now let's talk about Okobo, the fifth overall pick. He's a rookie out of Auburn, and he has been not disappointing, but not flashy. He's been very meh this season. On the season, he's averaging 7.9 points. In this game, he's projected 7.5. I'm taking the under at minus 117. Sure, it is not great value, but I think he hits the under because, yes, on the season, he's averaging 7.9, but over the last 15 days, he's only averaging 7.1, and over the last week, he's only averaging 6.3. Yes, he scored 11 points in the last game, but that means he only scored an average of 4 points in the other 2 games that he had this week. That's 2 out of 3 times he's hitting the under this week in his points being under 7.5. I'm taking the under at minus 117. I'm not touching his rebounds. That's one of the few categories that he does consistently contribute in. And when I say consistent, I mean, it doesn't mean he's doing a good job. I just mean that he's close to this mark of 2.5 pretty much every game. Now, he is set at 12.5 player special. I'm willing to bet that he hits the under at minus 115. On the season, he's averaging 12.2, and that's been trending down, 11.4 over the last 15 days and 9.6 over the last week. Yes, he had 13 in the last game, but I am telling you, those 11 points were a fluke. So that rounds it up for my player individual stats. Actually, there's a few player specials I have to talk about. Nikola Jokic to record a double-double is locked in at minus 220. To record a double-double, he's gotten a double-double in 22 out of 23 games. He didn't get a double-double against the Los Angeles Lakers. What a shame. He was, rivaling Bill Walton's record. He was number 2 all time in terms of getting a double-double to start a season. He had 20 in a row. He had 21 in a row, but then all of a sudden, they played the Lakers, and he ended that record. He was 13 short of Bill Walton's record of 34. So that was kind of a fluke. I'm taking the over. I'm taking the fact that he gets a double-double at minus 220. He had 9 rebounds in this game. He's going to get a double-double. He's still 22 of 23. What the hell? I'm taking it. In terms of Andre Drummond, I'm betting that he gets a double-double as well, even though you're getting worse odds than Nikola Jokic. The reason being, Nikola Jokic doesn't average as high of rebounds, but it's that he's a close, he's a threat. Even if he doesn't get it in rebounds, he could get it in assists. Andre Drummond is not that player. He is strictly points and rebounds, but he's averaging 18.5 points in the league, on the season, and 14.2 rebounds. That's the highest in the league. He's definitely going to get it. Minus 286, I'm taking it. Now, I am not betting on anyone to get a triple-double. Nikola Jokic has 5 triple-doubles, but he hasn't done that in 11 games. Now let's do my tip-off analysis. It will be Nikola Jokic head-to-head against Andre Drummond. Nikola Jokic has a wingspan of 7'3". Andre Drummond has a wingspan of 7'6", despite being 2 inches shorter at listed height than Nikola Jokic. Now, both of them have been dominating on the tip-off this season. Over the last 5 games, Nikola Jokic is 4 for 5 on the tip-off. That said, Andre Drummond is 5 for 5. He might be the best guy on the tip-off in the entire league. Now, they haven't played yet this season, so I did some research in terms of their head-to-head matchups over the last 3 years. Now, the Nuggets have played the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Nuggets have played the Cavaliers 5 times. Actually, no, not the Cavaliers. The Nuggets have played against an Andre Drummond-led team 5 times because they played them before he was able to get to the Cleveland Cavaliers last year. So he didn't take any tip-offs with them. He took 1 with the Pistons. He took 1 the year before with the Pistons, and then he had 2 against Nikola Jokic the 2 years prior with the Pistons. So over the last 3 years, they've only had 3 tip-offs against each other over the last 3 years, and Andre Drummond is 2 for 3. I lean towards Andre Drummond winning this tip-off. So what's the good news? The Nuggets are, in terms of over-under, who's projected to score first in this game? Obviously, I like the Cleveland Cavaliers to score first in this game, considering the fact I'm saying they're going to have every advantage to score first. They're going to get the ball first. That's something I'm confident in. I do think Andre Drummond will win the tip-off in this game. Now, if you look at the next team to score at 0-0, that means who's going to score first. You're getting slightly worse odds with the Cleveland Cavaliers at minus 117 versus the Nuggets at minus 105. But I'm taking the Cleveland Cavaliers because I do think that they will have the ball first, and that is exceedingly indicative of who will score the ball first. So I'm taking the Cavs. I'm not willing to bet on any player to score first because that's when you lose a lot of money unless it's a good team that's winning the tip-off with a good volume scorer. I wouldn't bet on it because, say I bet on 3 different players, I would bet on Garland, Sexton, and Andre Drummond. Say one of them misses a shot, and then the Nuggets take it down the court and score. I'm down $20 instead of just 5. So I am taking the Detroit Pistons, or not the Detroit Pistons. Andre Drummond's team change has me all messed up in all sorts of ways. I'm taking the Cleveland Cavaliers to score first. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this audio version of the show, and please tune in next time the Nuggets play. Thank you so much, and I'll see you all later.